ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the nationals here at the debate circle, and we're about to move on to a knockout region. And the team that is proposing and opposing this motion is Kathiani girls versus Matuga girls. And the motion reads, school-going students should be provided with mandatory health insurance coverage through their education institutions. I read the motion again. School-going students should be provided with mandatory health insurance coverage through their education systems. I definitely cannot wait to hear submissions from both teams. All the best to the teams that come on stage. Team proposition, first speaker, you have 3 minutes.
I'm a proud Kenyan. I'm proud of my government. I'm proud of what my government is going to do, or what my government wants to do. What does my government want to do? My government wants to mandate health insurance, which will be very, very beneficial to every single one of us inside this room, including my sisters who have the confidence to stand there and oppose this. Oh my goodness, I'm so disappointed. You're now listening to Lina Moli from Matuga Girls High School, opposing the motion that states school-going students should be provided with mandatory health insurance coverage through their educational institutions. Let's begin by what is mandatory health coverage. These are healthcare services and items that must be covered by a state plan so as to receive financial participation from the program. What is insurance coverage? It's the amount of risk that is covered for an individual or entity by a way of insurance coverage. Examples are Britam Insurance, CII Group, Jubilee, and NHIF. Let's begin by mental health support. Health insurance covers everything, mental and physical health. All of us as students here, we get the pressure from school. All of us are not upright mentally. We have that pressure from exams, our school, our teachers, my future. All of us have that pressure. All of us have that one point you're like, God, I'm tired. You need someone to turn to. You need somewhere to go. And this mental health coverage is going to provide you with enough funds to have somewhere to go and receive assistance. From WWNHIF, it states that NHIF provides consultations with professional counselors. All of us need counseling. All of us need help. We need this mandatory insurance. According to Mental Health Organization, 50% of mental health problems are established at the age of 14. All of us at that age are in school. All of us have that pressure. We need somewhere to go. We need people to talk to. We need help. We need it. 10% of these 50% can't afford it. Can't afford mental health. All of you know that our brains are very essential. According to Dr. Njuguna Eric, a psychiatrist in Nairobi, states that the cheapest mental health treatment begins from 50,000 to 100,000. How many of us right now can afford 50,000? How many of us? Can I please see your hands up? No, we can't afford this. We need this. We need help. We need to mandate this health insurance. A lot of people are dying. We have heard of cases. This child is dying. We are losing our generation. People are committing suicide because of this mental health. We need someone who is going to cover it. We need somewhere to go. We need help as students. So I stand in front of you to strongly propose the motion that states that school-going children should be provided with mandatory health insurance coverage through the educational institutions. I raise my case.
I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm shining. I'm bubbling. When was the last time you were sick? You? As for me, I can't even remember. Opposing this motion, I am Oprah Winfrey from Kathiani Girls High School. School-going students are young people who attend an institution of learning. According to online Oxford Dictionary, mandatory means required by law or mandate. According to CBK, as of December 2022, the country's debt had risen to 9.1 trillion. So, mandatory health insurance is not compatible to our economy. It is like adding Fuliza on top of Mshwari. Young people are hardly sick, and most of the students are young and vibrant. We do not need this mandatory health insurance. Let's take an example of my school. According to the data collected in 2022, 127 students out of 1,300 were treated under Edu Afya. This translates to only 9.76%. So, 90.2% did not benefit. Why not insure only those that need it? According to NCBI 2020, immunity decreases as we grow older. So, the person who needs this mandatory health insurance most is my grandmother and your grandfather. Imagine a bucket of KFC and coleslaw on the side. You wash it down with a cold Coke bottle. Back to reality. 600 million African students are facing starvation. This is according to Development Aid Funds in 2022. Do they need health insurance coverage or do they need food? Mandatory health insurance is not a priority. According to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, basic needs include air, water, and food. We cannot insure starving students. According to Daily Nation, on Saturday, January 29th, 2022, 800,000 students have not received the 14 billion medical insurance coverage provided to them. Where does this money go? This blanket way of insuring students is a very big corruption loophole. It is a cash cow for insurance company because if you don't get sick, where does your money go to? And those 800,000 insured students, where did the money go to?
Help. Help me. Anyone. My child is dying. My child is suffering. My child is going to lose his life in the next few minutes. What is wrong, Mama Edu? My child, she needs help. I think we have insurance for that. Medical insurance, to be precise. My name is Rita Biana from Matuga Girls High School, and I'm here to propose the motion that says school-going children should be provided with mandatory health insurance through educational institutions. First, we have access to health care. By providing mandatory health insurance coverage, students through their educational institutions, it ensures that students have access to health care inside their schools through the institutions. First, we have this incident that happened, according to the Standard Media, on April 5th, 2023, 5 students in Mukumu Girls High School in Kakamega County suffered from double infection and amoeba through their stomachs. Now, this shows, the study from the Standard Media shows that out of the total 108 cases, 2 students died, and we have 40 that were admitted. And the government, through Edu Afya Insurance, it covered the children and paid for all their medical expenses. What am I trying to put across? That whenever we have this kind of insurances in our school, we can insure our students through anything. It helps them have access to health care. That, according to the Standard Media also, by Harold Ayodo, when students get sick in schools, the few parents and guardians give much thought to whether their children can access quality media, especially through an emergency. You have emergencies happening in the school. This will help us, help our parents, because most of our parents are all caught up. We all know that parents have a lot of things to do. They have a lot of things running through their mind. But if we insure our students, if we insure through the educational institutions, we'll be having an access to the healthcare services through the schools. That takes me, concerning the point about the emergency, it takes me to my second point, and it's also going to answer the question that our opposition side was saying about emergency situations. We have a lot of emergencies occurring in our schools. We have a lot of things happening to students, accidents, injuries through sports, and many others. When we say that we should insure students through, oh wait, she did not say insure students. She said that we should take the money and feed the students. On my previous point, Mukumu girls got their whatever they went through the food poisoning. The food that you're talking about that we should insure. If we have insurance services through the educational institutions, we'll be able to cover all students. They have access to healthcare, and also through the emergency situations, the students will be able to get the healthcare even if they're in school, and if emergencies occur, they will never have to suffer because they have the mandatory health insurance through their educational institutions. I reflect.
Have you ever tried to cover fire with a blanket? We all know the possible outcome, don't we? Of course, the fire will burn the blanket to ashes. Well, this mandatory health insurance coverage is the blanket that we use to cover problems in the healthcare center. I'm Margaret Njeri from the Kathiani Girls High School, here to strongly oppose the motion that states school-going students should be provided with mandatory health care insurance throughout their educational institutions. Nairobi Hospital, MP Shah, Aga Khan. You mean to tell me that when I get sick, when we get sick, I will be taken to these hospitals and not pay a penny? You must be joking. We must be dreaming. Well, this is such a beautiful dream, but we must wake up from it. 1, this mandatory health insurance coverage is not affordable. It is an extra burden to taxpayers. Poor people are being bypassed due to lack of awareness. Money from taxpayers purported to cater for mandatory health insurance is being put to dodgy deals, health scandals, and human rights abuses. This is according to a report that was done by Oxfam International and published on the 26th of June 2023. This is all with little or no accountability of taxpayers' money. Launched in 2017 by the then President Uhuru Kenyatta, the EduAfya initiative has led to an increase in health budgetary allocation to the tune of 4 billion shillings. We all know the consequences of increasing budgetary allocations, don't we? Well, let me mention but a few. It will lead to increase in borrowing. It will also lead to an increase in the interest and a decrease in reinvestment. Well, according to CBK December 2021, Kenya borrowed domestically 4.023 trillion, externally 4.174 trillion. If we all do the maths, this sums up to a total of 8.197 trillion. Don't you think that if we introduce this mandatory health insurance coverage, we will be putting the country into more debt? Thank you.
Team Proposition have been asked to validate mental health services are currently being offered in educational institutions, and they propose that giving mental health coverage through insurance is one of the reasons for their case study. Wouldn't this be a case of double insurance? Kindly clarify on that. Team Opposition have been asked, given the uncertain nature of the future, wouldn't it be beneficial to cover school-going children against such uncertainties? Validate on that claim. Team Proposition, third speaker, you have 3 minutes.
More than 450 kilometers, I stand here on this stage today. I'm terrified, I might not lie. But one thing that really got on my nerve is hearing students who are under the EduAfya, as you people said, covered, standing here today to oppose. Janina Mani from the PAL of Kwale County, and I'm here to propose the motion. Let's start off with a question. You said double insurance. May I answer your question with another question? Although it sounds absurd, it's going to hit you. The question lies in, Yes, we have guidance and counseling, but the suicide cases, instead of dropping, they are rising. And that's why we need a more professional approach in our institutions. I'm talking about the financial protection. You said that we are going deeper into debt if we're going to introduce this, but may I give you this fact from our current Kenya Medical Association, in that they stated the recent and the most contributor of most debts in our country has been due to out-of-pocket payments by various citizens. Out of pocket or pay, in that from 1.1 million that was last year into this year's price 2.1 million. So you're saying we're going deeper into debt by introducing this, but currently the poverty itself is digging deeper into our already torn pockets. We're literally doing nothing. According to Kate Simpson, a student 2007 in USA, the person dropped out of school due to a sinus infection that actually turned out to be a serious mental issue. Yes, they dropped out of school. And why? They had health insurance, general health insurance, but it wasn't struck on their personal education sector. The person currently, only God knows of their fate. And currently in our country, without looking and without noting, that many people are actually getting sick. You say that for you personally, you don't get sick. It was a long time for you to recall. But may I remind you that you do not stand for the population of these children in our country. Let me tell you a fact that I really loved when I was researching. We have the recent introduction to both the private and the public schools. In the private schools, we have the Chaledi Muteoka Sanga, who made an agreement that the private schools by KIPSA. They made an agreement with NHIF and Minet that they're going to cover all children who are under the private schools since 2019, April 17th. And let me tell you, 2.5 million children have been saved by this. Let's go to the public sector, as you said, Edu Afia. And from what my fellow beautiful proposer had said, it had saved students. And yet, I'm standing here to say to make it mandatory, and you guys have literally seen the effect, and yet you are still blind? Come on, people, let's be serious. Let's talk. And we know that currently, according to news agency, 2.5 million of students benefit from the insurance cases. We are benefiting, and it is not mandatory. Imagine the effect. Just imagine the big effect that it will have on us. And then you also talked about food and hunger and how are we going to ensure hungry people? May I remind you that the government has allocated various funds to various situations. In our education sector, we have 529.09 billion, that is allocated. Medical, you have 129. Why are you snatching the little that you have by your according assumptions? We are covered. We need cover. You need cover. Reconsider that. Have a nice day.
Third speaker, team opposition, you have 3 minutes.
See how this ill-fitting blazer is? This is what happens when you give a blanket solution to solve different personal problems. Mandatory health insurance for school-going students is like this ill-fitting blazer. I'm Joyner Josephine Sitati from Kathiani Girls High School, here to strongly oppose the motion that school-going students should be provided with mandatory health insurance coverage through the educational systems. And thank you for joining the opposition side. You say that the government has allocated money for food, but that is according to what? Mandatory health insurance caters up to a certain amount. For example, in Kenya, Edu Afya caters up to only 1,350 Kenya shillings. So what about those suffering from chronic illnesses like the stem cell, sickle cell anemia, cancer? According to WHO, World Health Organization, up to 15% of children aged 12 to 18 years suffer from chronic conditions. So a student who is not insured will face great risk. On to the audience question. Prevention is better than cure. Instead of health insurance, why not eat healthy? Exercise regularly by trying to be active about 5 times a week. Lose weight if you're overweight. Excess weight can bring about blood pressure. Prevent your skin from sun exposure by using a sunscreen with an SPF of at least 15. Who will want to look good in the sun? Through this, you will stay away from heart diseases, skin cancer, and many chronic illnesses. That is according to Family Doctor Organization in the US. Now, academic year 2021 to 2022, 20.2 million undergraduate students in the US were medically examined. 82% of the students were rated as very healthy. 8% were rated as fair, and 2% were rated as poor. That is according to the World Health Statistics. So that means that we actually don't need this mandatory health insurance. Instead of insuring everyone, even the ones who are not sick, why not make healthcare free, affordable, and accessible to everyone? Giving students mandatory insurance to go to hospitals that lack medical personnel, medicine, medical machines and facilities, or even the basic thing like a pair of gloves. Now, I want you to think about this. You as students have medical cover. You are happy. You are able to get medical care. But in the hospital, you are supposed to get medical care. There is no medical personnel, no medicine, no facilities. Is your insurance not hot air? According to KHF, January 8th, Kenya hospitals are facing two major problems: understaffing, lack of medicines and facilities. Kenya faces an acute shortage of nurses with just 600,000, serving a population of over 50 million students. Well, you can get the mandatory health insurance, but there are no medics in these hospitals. Making healthcare affordable and furnishing these hospitals is the solution for school-going students. Thank you.
Team Proposition, you have 1 minute to give your closing remark.
I'd like to correct something you said. You said Edu Afia covers 1,000 and some shillings per student, but the truth is Edu Afia covers 22,540 shillings per student in 1 year. And we also have, according to the Eagle Africa Managing Director, Mr. Sam Cherry, says that most parents should know that a medical cover that underwrites risk when a student is in school, that the payment is modest and the premiums is 700 shillings, and it can give it back to you to almost 200,000 shillings. We also have, so far the total premiums collected from the student is, insurance cover is 3.2 million, while the claims are just 1.2 million. We have 3.2, we have 1.2. The claims are cost 1.2 million, but the insurance cover is 3.2 million. That means we have enough to even cover twice what we are talking about right now. So, the money that you are having right now and providing medical cover and health insurance to students, which is mandatory to the health through the educational institution, is a lot more money than what we are having as claims. And I think we should embrace this. We are all students. You don't know what will happen next. We never hold on the future. That's what the Bible says. I close my case.
Team Opposition, you have 1 minute to give your closing remark.
My mother has covered me. My father has covered me. Why do we need to cover ourselves too much? Don't you think we are being too paranoid? Usiuziwe uwoga. Any school-going student is automatically covered by their parents' insurance until they're done with universities, provided there is proof of school attendance through legal documentation, according to NHIF. We should set our priorities right. For this health insurance coverage is just a small fish, and we have other big fishes to fry, like hunger, starvation, and poverty. Can you imagine? The school sends you away for school fees, yet you have a health insurance? What is the cover doing for you? It is not benefiting you at all. Does this make sense? Mandatory health insurance for students is not necessary. Thank you.
Kathiani girls, and I think I want to appreciate you for your really high-level opposition. I think you brought in the element of saying that we have more problems. That's what I heard, especially from the first speaker, that we have more problems to solve, especially food. Which as well now Rita came in to say, listen, with your example that it was food that caused people to get unhealthy in some situation, and if there was no insurance it would have been trouble. It was an interesting way of looking how that story was going, and so we had a very intellectual way of dealing with this, and I appreciate what was there. So very quickly into some of the pointers, I think from the first speaker, Kathiani, when you come and say that young people hardly get sick, I think I was about to say that's a dangerous statement to say until you brought in your example of what happens in your school and the percentages, which I cannot refute because, you know, that was well drawn. So that was a safe path for you. Margaret, I think you brought in the elements that I wanted, that, you know what, this is such a burden to the already burdened taxpayers. And that was commendable for you as well. That the hospitals listed, however, that you brought in, you give in a list of hospitals, and I thought the proposition could have taken that as a cross-examination, because all the hospitals you mentioned are private hospitals. You know, what about the public ones, which is what, especially when you talk about the insurance, really cover. So good citations and well done as well. Joanna, I think I'm still trying to garner the point on your jacket. I think you will see me aside and tell me about that jacket story again. But you brought in the element of Edu Afia being limited and cannot cover some of the chronic diseases. And I think I love the flow of the conversation. So it was really good. It was quite close. And I can't wait to see how this stands out.
Matuga girls, the proposers, I like the examples you gave in terms of what effects this insurance has, mental health, in terms of emergencies that students are catered for. But I want to speak a bit about on Jadine. You stood out as a speaker, and you are very coherent in terms of your argument. You brought in issues to do with professionalizing the health coverage, the expense on parents, and how it's lowered with insurance cover. You also talked about the dropout rate. So you're able to bring in the underlying concept of your argument for the team that with insurance coverage, there are all these other benefits that come with it. So to all the teams, you had great speakers. All the best.
Yes, from the Pearl of Kwale County to the hills of Kathiani, I will just move straight to the judges' results. And the judges have awarded Kathiani girls with 71%. A round of applause, please, for Kathiani girls. And the judges have awarded Matuga girls with 68%. A round of applause for the winners as Kathiani girls. And all the best to the teams that will be proceeding. Thank you very much. We have come to the end of this debate here at the Debate Circle in the Nationals for the season 2. Thank you very much. And if you want to see more of this content and debates, make sure to check our social media handles at the Debate Circle on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and as well as on TikTok. And until next time, it is goodbye.